My earliest memory of, I guess, cows on a farm would be when I was 6, 7 years old, and it was the yearly stock up of beef, so to speak, in the family, and my dad and his friend would buy a whole cow, basically fattened up, cleaned out or whatever over 6 months, and then they dressed them there. Dad's put the knife through the back of the head. It's dropped, it's been winched up onto a tree, and the winch snaps and the cow falls on me. I've got 2 grown men laughing at me, and then I'm freaking out because I've got a 600 kilo beast on me. The farming and animals and getting them ready for our table, gaining the knowledge from my dad, who's essentially a master chef, has kind of been within our family's, I guess, tradition since I was a kid. When I finished year 12, I always imagined that I'd own a restaurant at some day, that would be my pride and joy. 6, 7 years of doing music, I was fed up, and I go to my dad, help me, I want another job, and he said, come and peel oranges and cook bacon and eggs at Bill and Tony's. I've been told to open a burger shop, mate, from before 2012, and everyone's like, do a standalone thing. We had to do something different, and I've had all these ideas in my head about kind of making it sustainable as much as we can and doing stuff that no one else is doing. And I truly believe that, like no one else salt ages beef in Australia for burgers. No one's really looked for that traceability aspect of their beef. I know people are talking about provenance and stuff like that, but the places that they talk about and the volumes that they do, it's physically impossible for that farmer to produce that amount of beef for that one restaurant. So when they talk about provenance, I kind of was skeptical about that, so I had to make sure that when I was doing the traceability of the product, at any one time, you can ask us at the shop where the beef's from. We can tell you, you know what I mean? We can tell you where our eggs come from. We can tell you where the bacon comes from. Our bread's organic, and there's no sugar in the bun. It's natural honey. We're pasteurising our eggs there. We're making the mayonnaise all from scratch from those pasteurised eggs. All the sauces are made in-house. Barbecue, all the vegetables are smoked out the back for the barbecue sauce.
What we have here is a stable herd of cattle that I buy in a new bull from time to time, some new cows from time to time, but by and large I try and keep some heifers that are good every year so that we're not always having cattle come in and out. We've got one stable herd that all live together, grow up together, are accustomed to not having their calves taken off them straight away. So we've got a nice peaceful place to be. So I started then talking to a few butchers around Sydney, and that led me in particular into contact with Joel Horton of Kingsmore Meats. Joel is a long-standing butcher and fond of good meat, and that fortuitously was exactly the time that Yovi was looking for somewhere to be able to supply meat that of known provenance.
This is the big difference between buying something ready-made and making it yourself. You control everything, right? It's not just rubbish that gets fed into the patty. You actually know what's going in there. You know where the cow's from, which is really important. You know what it's been fed. You know who's butchered it. You know how it's been processed.
I reckon this is the muscle that you want. And the problem is if you use that brisket, you're not going to get enough lean content. As it comes down to conscience, I know that what I buy in from my farmers is 100% grass started and finished. What I give Yovi is 100% grass started and finished. A lot of stuff that comes in boxes is just, it's all finished on grain, but it's still sold to us as grass fed. So I don't have it in the shop. Yovi doesn't use it because we got a conscience.
We age everything here with Joel, so now what would happen is we'd season it, hang it in the dry aging room, and then it will sit there for 10 days. So that's the cross section on the chuck. And you can see how all, there's no bloods and liquids and fluid or what have you that are usually there when you cut it open. One, that's because it's come fresh off a carcass and not out of a cryovac bag, and two, from the salt aging, it just draws out all the liquid. And what you see here, the shimmer on the outside, that's just from all the melted salt that's broken down on the surface. This is a big brisket. And just look at the age on there. You know, nice and dark. The fat's nice and chalky. Without tooting our own horn, there was just this superior quality in our beef compared to something that you'd find at another shop. And we've kept the burgers really simple. It's not about how much sauce is on there. It's not about, how many deep fried things we fucking put on the burger. It's about the beef, and that's what a burger is. If you don't have a beef patty in there, it's not a burger. It becomes a sandwich. We still see a problem in the shop where people don't understand what, grass-fed means, or hormone-free, or, the fact that everything's local, the veg. They don't care that the locals from down the road. They're like, why don't you just get someone to deliver it cheaper so you can make the burger cheaper? I was like, but why wouldn't I support a Vietnamese family who are 15 minutes away from my shop, who grow the vegetables, and I know what ground it grows on, and put it in the burger? Like, wouldn't you prefer that? If you buy organic from wherever, wouldn't you prefer to buy it in this scenario and have it on a burger? So this is actually the tomatoes in the shop. Off the vine, sweet, juicy, local. A lot of people don't care what we do with the food, to be quite honest, and that's our daily struggle, and we do wish to change that, because, mate, I'm telling you what, there's no burger shop doing what we're doing, and, mate, with the beef, let alone with our vegetables, and to top it off with our sauces and bread. Maybe you can sell me these tomatoes $10 a kilo. No, I mean $10 a box. I come with my own bucket. So the Superior Express, as we've called it, with 3 S's, is pretty much what Superior Burger was actually meant to become. It's a 1950s Austin school bus, which my partner Daniel has hand-built himself, essentially over a 2-year period. Basically, we've built this to kind of access areas where we don't want to open shops, but we still think that we've got a demand in the market. So we're probably going to cruise events in the city and eastern suburbs and northern beaches essentially with the bus, but it's all going to be event based, and every now and then we might do a bit of a secret pop-up. As a credit to Dan, my business partner, who's just this guy that's got so much energy. Him and his partner Carol are just like the greatest thing that have probably happened to me in my journey, and have given me a second breath of wind, which has filled me up with a bit of confidence, as opposed to the negativity that I was shining a bit before that. We did it for this one event for Cause anyway, and we get to the event and we're going, and I remember cooking and with flat stick, it was busy as, and all of a sudden I feel the earth move from under my feet, and I was like, far out, it's an earthquake. And then I look across the bus to the right to see where Dan was, and I just laughed at him. I go, fuck, we're in a bus. I just only fully realised that we're in a bus that we built for 2 years, and mate, the emotion that just came through me was huge, because that was a dream of Dan's. I could see it, I could see how much it meant to him that that we got this thing off the ground. I put an offer in for the takeaway shop that we're in at the moment in Wakeley, probably 12 months prior to this all happening. This lady, I remember, she goes, I want $180,000 for the shop. And I said, well, you have no customers. What are you selling me, Frozen goods in the freezer. And 12 months later, she calls me. I left my number. I wrote my name, my number, and a figure, and I put it on a little order card, and I gave it to her. And she put it in a cash register, and I was like, no, this lady's never going to call me, And funnily enough, just after the bus we started building the bus, she's called me desperate, wanting to sell the shop. And then I called Dan. I was like, dude, this shop's come up. I've been looking at this for ages. I reckon we should do this shop as the prep kitchen, like, cool, we'll just set it up with all the basics. We'll make it good enough so that it can, it can handle some pressure if it gets busy there, but predominantly it's going to be a prep kitchen. Once we put all the equipment in and built it, we were like, we can't fit anything in here. And then we opened the doors, we got so busy, it was just constant, 400, 500 burgers in one hit. I've got a great team at Superior. The front of house, I've got some awesome front of house girls there, and they believe the story, they believe the blabber that I tell them, and they're really good at trying to get the message over to the customers. Even if it's a guy who doesn't even want to hear them speak, he just wants his food and drink, they'll spend the time breaking the customer down and talking to them and telling them, guys, this is what we do, this is why it costs that much, because people are obviously a bit weirded out by a $14 burger at the moment, which is beyond me. We really appreciate when we get the old boys coming back going, mate, that's a real burger. That's how they used to taste. Because back in the day, all beef was good. So when an old boy says that to you from across the room with like the gun pointed to you, you're like, yeah, thanks, man. Or that visual of someone taking that first nod after the bite, looking at their friend, you're like, that stuff 8 years later is what I live for, man. It's like that first nod when they look at their friend and smile, you're just like, mate, sometimes it can be such an emotional experience when you see that, and you're just like, wow, man, that's why I'm doing this. You can have all this stress going on in the background, people not doing the job right, but that nod will just change your day, So a lot of locals, to their credit, have supported us and really believe in the dream and believe what we say. And that's a trust thing, We still need to build up trust with a lot of guys, and there's a bit of a language barrier. Obviously, not everyone's got the greatest English around here, but we're doing our best, and we really appreciate the people that are supporting us at the moment. They're believing in the dream, so onward and upward.